On the side of the highway, a highway patrol officer halts an elderly lady cruising at a mere 10 miles per hour. There's 3 passengers with her that look scared stiff, cool as a cucumber. She's puzzled by the stop. The officer points out her snail's pace on the fast lane. "I'm going the speed limit," she says, and points to the sign. The officer says that means it's Highway 10, not 10 miles an hour. "Oh, now I see," she says. "But why are the passengers so scared? We just came from Interstate 127, she said.
Scored my welfare payment today. I went to get some hens I needed from the farmer. He said he was in a charitable mood and just gave them to me. It was a great day. I got my money for nothing and my chicks for free.
I told my wife, I won the Leslie Nielsen Prize at the office today. She asks, "What's that?" It's a place where people go to work, but that's not important right now. The wife, livid with her husband, packs his bags, showing him the door. Anger fuels her words as she hollers, "May your end be long, slow, and painful." A moment of silence, then a smirk spreads across his face. He turns and says, "Ah, you wish for me to stay?" And just like that, the tension breaks, a chuckle escapes, and the story ends. My wife walked in on me while I was watching some porn. In a panic reflex, I hurried up and switched it to a random channel which turned out to be fishing. As she walks out of the room, she gives me a quick look over and she says, "You should have kept it on the porn. You know how to fish."
My girlfriend dressed up as a policewoman and told me I was under arrest for suspicion of being incredibly good in bed. After 2 minutes, she said, all charges were dropped due to lack of evidence.
The sky was looking rough, so I asked Siri, "Surely, it's not going to rain today?" And she replied, "Yes, it is, and don't call me Shirley." That was when I realized I'd left my phone on airplane mode.
So my wife said we could each have 3 hall passes. She picks hers. Henry Cavill, Jason Momoa, Matt Damon. Hollywood's finest, no doubt. Then comes my turn and she starts getting mad at me. I picked her sister, our kid's kindergarten teacher. Now don't judge, she's got that sweet, nurturing vibe. And third, Kelsey from marketing, young, ambitious, full of life. She just looks at me and storms out of the room like I did something wrong. So, a word of advice, gentlemen. If you ever play the hall pass game, pick celebrities. Saves you a night on the couch.
I just watched a documentary on marijuana. I think all documentaries should be watched this way.
A woman goes to buy a parrot. The prices are $100, $200, and $15. She asks why the last one is so cheap. "Because he used to live in a brothel," says the shopkeeper. She says she will take the brothel parrot and pays the $15. When she gets home, the parrot says, "Oh yay, a new brothel." The woman laughs. When her daughters get home, the parrot says, "Oh yay, 2 new prozzies." The girls laughs too. When the dad gets home, the parrot says, "Oh hey Pete, haven't seen you for weeks."
The gynecologist had become fed up with malpractice insurance and paperwork and was burned out. Hoping to try another career where skillful hands would be beneficial, he decided to become a mechanic. He went to the local technical college, signed up for evening classes, attended diligently, and learned all he could. When the time of the practical exam approached, the gynecologist prepared carefully for weeks and completed the exam with tremendous skill. When the results came back, he was surprised to find that he had obtained a score of 150%. Fearing an error, he called the instructor saying, "I don't want to appear ungrateful for such an outstanding result, but I wonder if there's an error in the grade." He said, "During the exam, you took the engine apart perfectly and put it back together perfectly, which was worth 100%. After a pause, the instructor added, "I gave you an extra 50% because you did it all through the exhaust, which I've never seen done in my entire career."
2 wives finally find some time to have a night out, just the 2 girls. After a night of happy drinking, they decide to wobble home, but on the way, both have a desperate need to pee. They nip into a cemetery, do the deed, and realize they have nothing to wipe themselves with. So one uses her underwear and the other grabs a wreath and uses that. Next day their husbands are talking on the phone, voicing their concerns. "I'm not happy," says one husband. "She came home with no underwear on." "I hear you," replies the second husband in a sad voice. "But if you think that's bad, my wife had a card stuck in the crack of her backside saying, 'From all the guys at the fire station, we will all miss you.'"
A woman walks into a pharmacy and asks, "Do you sell condoms for extremely large penises?" "Yes, we do," said the pharmacist and took her to the aisle. "We have condoms for all sizes here. Do you need to buy some?" "No," she replied, "but if you don't mind, I'm just going to wait right here for a while."
A young woman was waiting at a bus stop. After a few minutes, the bus arrived and the woman tried to step on board. Unfortunately, her skirt was extremely tight and she couldn't get her leg up high enough for the step. She quickly reached behind her and unzipped her skirt a little, but she still couldn't step up. She unzipped her skirt a little more, still no luck, so she tried a third time. Nope. Suddenly she felt a strong pair of hands grab her by the waist and lift her onto the step. Well, she was having none of that. She turned around and saw a tall cowboy standing behind her. She got in his face and yelled, "How dare you? I didn't give you permission to touch me like that. I don't even know you." The embarrassed cowboy looked down at his boots and said, "I'm sure sorry, ma'am. I just assumed we was friends after the third time you reached back and unzipped my fly."
In the stillness of the night, a thief tiptoes into a house. His flashlight dances around, illuminating treasures in the dark. Suddenly, a voice slices through the silence. "Jesus is watching you." Startled, the thief freezes, his heart pounding. But when silence returns, he shrugs it off and resumes his heist. Again, the voice rings out, "Jesus is watching you." Now, panic seizes him. His flashlight swings wildly, seeking the source of the voice. At last, the light settles on a corner of the room, revealing a parrot. "Did you say that?" the thief stammers, pointing at the parrot. The parrot nods. "Yes, I'm just trying to warn you that he's watching you." The thief chuckles, relieved. "Warn me, huh? And who might you be?" "Moses," the parrot replies, feathers ruffling. The thief laughs. "Moses? Who names a bird Moses?" The parrot coos, the kind of people who would name a pit bull Jesus.
I was invited out for a night with the girls. I told my husband that I would be home by midnight. "I promise." Well, the hours passed and the drinks went down way too easy. Around 3 a.m., a bit blitzed, I headed for home. Just as I got in the door, the cuckoo clock in the hall started up and cuckooed 3 times. Quickly realizing my husband would probably wake up, I cuckooed another 9 times. I was really proud of myself for coming up with such a quick-witted solution, even when totally smashed, in order to escape a possible conflict with him. The next morning, my husband asked me what time I got in, and I told him midnight. He didn't seem disturbed at all. Whew, got away with that one. Then he said, "We need a new cuckoo clock." When I asked him why, he said, "Well, last night our clock cuckooed 3 times, then said, 'Oh, crap,' cuckooed 4 more times, cleared its throat, cuckooed another 3 times, giggled, cuckooed twice more, and then tripped over the cat."
A guy is driving down a twisty California highway that looks over the beach. Suddenly, the car that is in front of him in the other lane moves into his lane, destroying his quarter panel and flattening his tire. When they get to the side of the road, this gorgeous blonde steps out saying, I'm sorry, that was my fault. I'm sure insurance can sort this out for us." The guy is so mesmerized by her looks and her friendliness and says, "That's okay, I'm sure you're right." The blonde says, "Let us celebrate the fact that neither of us were hurt. I have a nice bottle of wine I just bought and would like to share it with you." The guy can't believe his luck, and when the blonde hands him the bottle, he takes a long drink of it and hands the bottle back. The blonde makes small talk for a bit, then he asks her, "Aren't you going to have a drink?" "No, I'll just stay here and wait for the cops."